Recording in progress.
Hey, Avon, just doing a quick video so that hopefully this will help you, although definitely come and talk to me when you're back and I'll be happy to give you more examples, but this might help explain the writing checklist. So let me share my screen and I'm going to walk you through this, okay? So that you can do it yourself with your paragraph. Okay, so I'm going to send you this email or an email with this document. Okay, this is the writing checklist. So all of the things you need to highlight, but they're explained in more detail. So if you use this to do each one, should make sense, but I'll explain it first. So first thing you need to do, topic sentence. Okay, so the topic sentence of your paragraph is the sentence that kind of just summarizes what the heck you're going to be talking about. So I'll give you an example here. Okay, another student's work. So they have, the day that Kamba died was devastating for William. So you know that this next paragraph is going to be about the day that Kamba died and how it was terrible. That's it. So underline it. That's the key. In the same way, you're going to have a sentence at the bottom, which is about, it's another summary sentence. That's the last thing on the checklist, but I'll bring it up now because it's basically the same thing. This is the concluding sentence. Needs to be underlined as well. So that's 2 out of the 15 things. First one is it doesn't have to be the first sentence, but it's the sentence at the beginning that summarizes what your whole paragraph is about. And then at the end, it's the sentence that summarizes what the whole paragraph was just about. So this last sentence, we walked away from Kamba's deathbed. So you know that paragraph was just about Kamba dying, okay, and them being there at the place where he dies. So first sentence or first topic sentence will be underlined and bottom summary sentence will be underlined. That's 2 things. Here's another example. You can see the next morning I went with William's house to go and visit Kamba with him. So it tells you exactly what the paragraph is about, them visiting Kamba the next day. And then the summary sentence is the same. William and I never told anyone about what we did to Kamba. Okay, so it's about what they did to Kamba. So that's the topic and summary sentences. Then the second thing is the red, and that's transition words and phrases. And really for this, just look at this list and use a couple of these things. You start your sentence with 2 of these things. So you could start your sentence with additionally, or in the same way, or in other words. So let's say you're writing about William building a truck, and you could say, you know, I spent hours and hours getting the wheels and the axles just right with the wire and the bottle caps. In the same way, I spent hours and hours getting the body just perfect using the, you know, cardboard and popsicle sticks, whatever it is. So you just start a sentence with one of these expressions, okay? For this reason or whatever. So try to make those work so that they make sense. Some of them are opposites. So you would say, you know, on one hand, I spent a ton of time on this, but on the contrary, or however, when I did this other thing, it was really quick. So that would be opposites. But other ones are more like you're comparing them. One is exactly the same as the other, like similarly or in the same way I did this. So 2 phrases that start with red are highlighted red. So you can see in this one, she wrote, I saw him sitting beside Kamba. This one's not a great use of it, although I could tell he did not want Kamba to die. I knew it was for the best, but this next one is better. I'm glad we did because the view was so much better. So they kept walking and the view was so much better. As an illustration, the big bushy brown trees were as tall as 3-story buildings. Okay, so she's illustrating what she just said. So you're transitioning from one idea to the next idea. So the one sentence is related directly to the next sentence and you highlight those with red, but really just pick 2 out of here, okay? There's a good list there. There's like 20 of them you can choose from. And it starts your sentence with that and it's followed by a comma. Okay, next, sentence openers. We've gone over this before, but you need to use 3 different kinds. So not just 3 sentence openers, but 3 different kinds. And this is how you start your sentence. So you can start your sentence with a subject. For example, you can start with I or we or William or Kamba or the crowd or the windmill. Those are all things. Then you could also start it with an adverb, for example, okay? A word that describes how an action takes place. So like quickly I ran into the room, or smoothly the windmill began to turn, or frustratingly my car kept braking. So that's an adverb. And then the third one that's the easiest is the participle phrase, which is a word ending in ing. Okay, a word using ending with ing, like dancing, the kids ran down the street, or screaming, I held my toy truck up in the air, super proud of what I had done. So you're telling me how someone is doing an action with an ing word. Okay, so to see a couple examples, here's 4 different sentence openers. One is a subject, William. William looked uncertain. Again, it's always the first word of your sentence. Sentence opener is always the first word. So here it's William looked uncertain. So we start with William, that's a subject, a thing, or a person. So that's one sentence opener highlighted green. Then this one, it would start with William, except for she put quickly in front. So quickly, William, who seemed happy, got up and told Combo we were going hunting. So quickly is the adverb, and it's telling us how William is doing this thing. Another one is, it's called a preposition. It tells us where or when something happens. So in the afternoon, you start with that. In the afternoon, I did this. Or before lunch, we went here. Or in the living room, I started working. Or outside under the hot sun, blah, blah, blah. So that's a prepositional phrase. That's a sentence opener if it's at the beginning of the sentence. And then here is the ing word. Walking, I wondered, why does William like this dog so much? That's it, simple. Or running to his house, I did this. Or singing, I strolled down the street. Okay, so you want to start your sentences in 3 different ways. If all of your sentences are I did this, we did this, I did this, then just add a little description, add an ly word. Quickly, I went here. Slowly, we did this. Happily, we walked down the street. That kind of thing, or add an ing word, say. So make sure you have 3 different kinds. 1 ing word, 1 ly word, and 1 subject. That's 3, highlight those green, you're good to go. Next, decorations. This is pretty straightforward because we've talked about smoofa a lot. So anything that's smoofa is a decoration. So a simile, I walked like a lion, or a metaphor, he was a giant of a man, or something like that. Any alliteration, personification, hyperbole. If you do a very short sentence, like, I was building this truck and it took forever and ever. Period. I finally finished the truck, period. I wept, period. I wept is a very short sentence, or I cried, very short sentence. And it's kind of punchy and it makes us go, ooh, that's important because it stands out, it's so short. So you could do that. There's one of these things is a decoration, but I want 4 or 3 of them by themselves. So you really need 3 decorations like she has, and at least 3 sensory descriptions, even though they fall under decorations. The sensory description is a description of how something looks, how something feels, how something smells, how something tastes. Okay, so it's not enough to just say, I heard a noise, because that's not a description. I want to know, what was the noise like? I heard a soft, soothing melody of a bird chirping in the trees. That is sensory description. I can almost hear it as a reader. You're telling me what it's like. Or the sweet, salty taste of those onion rings crunching underneath my teeth was delicious. Oh, that's a good taste. Now I know what it tastes like. So we want 3 sensory descriptions, which are blue, and 3 other decorations, which are pink. Similes, metaphors, a question, like, how could this happen? Okay, so there's some examples on this list, but here's a few in action. So walking, I wondered, why does William like his dog so much? There's a question. It's a decoration. It's pink. As an illustration, the big, bushy brown, that's alliteration, BBB words. Okay, so 3 words that start the same. So she highlighted it pink. Trees were as tall as 3-story buildings, the grass as green as emeralds, and the water was flowing as though it was beautifully dancing. There's a beautiful description of the way something looked. So she highlighted it blue. And then another decoration, I felt warm, I felt safe, I felt ready. That is a triple extension. That's this one here, the triple. It's 3 sentences that start the same way. So she wrote, I felt, I felt, I felt. It's a triple extension, another decoration. Here's some more. Is Kamba alive still? There's another question. I asked myself. That's a short sentence. And here's a simile. All the hope I had in me disappeared. Like what? Like ice melting on a hot day. So there's a simile. And then she's got more sensory description as well. Kamba's body was light, but reeked of rotting flesh. So that's a pretty descriptive smell. Reeked of rotting flesh. Pretty gross. That's a good blue sensory description. The hot sun beating down on our backs. That's a good sensory description too, because you can almost feel that. So 3 of these and 3 of the blue ones. The last thing are dress ups. And these are actually easier than you might think. This goes in the middle of a sentence. So it's not at the beginning, it's a middle of a sentence, and it is to add more detail. So if I were to say, Avon came to school, that is a sentence, it's fine. But if I want to give more detail, I could say, Avon came to school because he wanted to learn. Okay, that would be a dress up. Because he wanted to learn is the extra bit of information. Or I could say, Avon came to school while his friends were still sleeping. That's another bit of information. It's an extra piece of information. Or I could say, Avon came to school when he realized the bell had already gone. Another piece of information. So any of those extra bits of information are dress ups. Okay, so where you add a detail. Avon came to school as if it was his last day on earth. A bit of information. Avon came to school since he wanted to see his friends. So all of these extra pieces are dress ups. Okay. Avon came to school, which was his least favorite place to be. Or Avon got dropped off by his mom, who was heading to work. Okay. Any of those bits of detail are dress ups. So just 3 of those. I'll show you a few here in the paragraph. Quickly, William, who seemed oddly happy. There's a bit of extra info. Or I agreed nervously because he seemed so sure of himself. That's a bit of extra info. Or we saw Kamba, who was in the same spot he was in when we left. Okay. Those are those are dress ups. The other kind of dress up you can use, vivid adverbs and adjectives. So upgraded descriptions. So it would be like, it can't be boring words. It can't just be like, I came into class and it was loud. Loud is too boring. But if you said, I came into class and there was a cacophony of noise, well, cacophony is a pretty good adjective. That's a great descriptor. Or it was, I don't know, an avalanche of sound. That would be a great descriptor. Okay. Or here's the example. I walked into the room. That's boring. But if you upgrade it to I scurried into the dim, ominous room, those are better adjectives, better descriptors. So you could also highlight those in yellow if you have good words like that. I think this one has like treacherous, after a treacherous journey uphill. Treacherous is a great word. So she highlighted it yellow. Again, I wouldn't necessarily say slowly is a good one because that's kind of boring. Nervously is okay, but you get the idea. So this is the list. Make sure you're using this because it'll explain all of them. I would recommend go through your paragraph, highlight any of the ones you already have because you probably have some. Whatever you're missing, just add it in. So add in a sentence that starts with, in fact, I was really excited to build it. Or in fact, we took 6 hours to find that one part. Okay, so add those in, highlight them red, go through your sentence openers, make sure you have enough, et cetera, et cetera. So basically you need 1 topic sentence, 2 red transition words, 3 sentence openers, 3 decorations, 3 blue descriptions of senses, taste, smells, sights, and 3 yellow dress ups. So that's a little bit of detail and 1 concluding summary kind of sentence. And I think that's about it. So hopefully that makes sense. but definitely come and talk to me. I'm happy to explain this at lunch or whatever, or go over what you've written before I mark it and make sure that you got everything right. Okay. Hopefully that helps. And let me know if you have any questions.